for those of you that have shapers or you're considering buying a shaper, one of the problems with using them is that unless you have some type of feed mechanism to control the feed rate, it's unsafe to use, because the best way to get a clean cut is to feed in the same direction of the rotation of the cutter. But the cutter wants to go and grab the wood and fling it out and throw it out the other end at speeds that are deadly. So what I figured was that if I had some way of controlling the movement and slowing it down, preventing by adding some sort of resistance to my sled, then I could cut very small parts and do it safely. And so what I came up with was that I could use this door closer. The door closer itself is, you can buy them in light duty, medium duty, or heavy duty, and inside they have a spring that forces it to return out, which makes it unusable as far as for this purpose. But the great thing about these types of door closers is you can take them apart, and inside you can pop these caps off and remove the the bolts on the side, and then you can get to the spring. And the spring is quite heavy duty, and I have the spring that I took out of here. As you can see, this spring is what keeps this compressed. So when you push forward, you have the resistance of the oil hydraulic function inside, but as it returns out, the spring is too powerful and prevents you from actually pushing it in. But if you remove the spring, you can move this back and forth easily. With the adjuster here in the back, you can actually change the resistance so that you can make it stiffer or lighter, however, whatever works best for you. But I found that even with it being, once I removed the spring and I refilled it with oil, that the resistance was still too light, because I got a lighter duty one. So what I did is I drilled a new hole and reset my bar to the midsection, which gave me a perfect amount of resistance so that I can push against it. And this, as a damper, controls the movement so that the blade cannot grab the wood and cannot throw it out. And it works perfectly. I'll pause it here and I'll show you myself cutting some, and then you can see how it works. I use my clamps to hold them in place. As you can see, the finish comes out really great. What I do, there is a little tear out here on the end here, but what I normally do is I'll cut first with the table saw, and I'll just put a thin cut right here, and I have on the back up against the fence I have tape, and that would offset my cut so that I get just a few thousandths of an inch to pull it away from the board, away from the fence. And then that allows me to get a perfectly clean cut. But most of all, the most important thing was having an option to be able to cut small pieces in this this direction, perpendicular to the fence, without having the piece jerked out of my hand, as the blade normally would rip this thing and throw it, or sometimes it'll dig it in, and it's just super dangerous. But with this, I can cut just about anything with this type of setup. So I thought it'd be helpful, so I wanted to post it so that if anybody else can use it, great. And if you have any questions, I can help. I don't have a video of me tearing this down, but it's pretty simple. Taking off the back here, and then, like I said, you have to take off the sides. And once you pull it apart, you drain the oil out, remove the spring, put it back together, fill it back up with the oil, and then put it back together. If you get a stiffer model, then that'll allow you quite a bit more adjustment to, depending on, it would probably need more resistance with bigger cutters. This is a pretty heavy cutter that I'm using, but I can imagine that maybe some others might need more resistance, but this amount of resistance seems perfect. I could actually probably go a little bit lighter and it still won't pull it. So anyways, that's all I had. Thanks.